The movie begins in 1969. Paul is taking his girlfriend, Iris, out on a date and has blindfolded her as the place is a surprise. Paul takes her to Skyview, a new high-rise restaurant. Iris is nervous about heights and notices a kid stealing a penny from a wishing fountain before one of the guards stops him, as it is considered a bad omen. They get on the elevator, and the elevator operator lets in many people, even though the elevator has a weight limit. On the elevator ride up, the kid continues to make Iris nervous by intentionally stomping on its glass bottom to scare her. At Skyview, the couple gets denied access as the place Paul has reserved has been taken by some rich celebrities. Paul tries to ask the manager for a favor, but the man refuses to help. The two sneak into the bar anyway. Iris sees a chef cooking food while a bartender opens up a champagne bottle. They go near the window, but Iris gets scared. Paul apologizes for ruining their date, but Iris tells him that it is perfect for her since she is with him. She takes a flower from one of the glasses and puts it on Paul's suit but accidentally cuts her hand. Paul goes to get champagne as Iris waits by the window, but she suddenly starts to get sick. She runs to the bathroom and passes by the dance floor, which is on reinforced glass. A bartender opens a wine bottle, sending its cap into a chandelier, where one of its shards drops and forms a crack on the reinforced glass floor. In the bathroom, Iris is met by one of the singers. She quickly realizes that Iris is pregnant. Iris says she is 2 months away, and the singer congratulates her. But Iris has not yet told Paul and is nervous about his reaction, but the singer encourages her to find her happiness. The singer has also a son, and she tells him to wait for her. Paul then takes Iris up to the observation deck and proposes to her. When Iris tells him about the pregnancy, he is overjoyed and she accepts. Just as this happens, the troublesome kid from earlier is throwing pennies off the deck. One of the pennies manages to fall inside the ventilation system of Skyview, where it gets jammed in the ventilator and stops it. Iris and Paul celebrate their proposal by dancing with several other restaurant-goers on the glass dance floor. The form supporting the reinforced glass starts to tear away as the small crack on the glass starts to spread as people continue to jump and dance on it. The penny is still stuck in the ventilator, causing the fan to break and a shard launches into a flammable gas tube. The gas starts to spread into the restaurant as people continue to have a good time. Iris and Paul continue to dance, but Iris suddenly starts to feel very nervous. She starts to back up and get off the reinforced glass slowly. Suddenly, the floor shatters. A lot of guests fall through and plummet to their deaths. Paul is holding onto the broken glass, but unfortunately, his hands start to slip and he falls down to his death. The rest of the guests frantically try to escape, causing one woman to catch fire from the chef's pan. The woman frantically runs to the side where the flammable gas is coming out. An open flame breaks out in the restaurant, causing an explosion and setting multiple guests on fire, while Iris quickly takes cover. The singer gets her son to safety, and he watches his mother burn to death. Iris then attempts to escape but is thwarted several times. The overloaded elevator plummets due to the weight and splits a man in half. The stairs collapse as people run down them while the little boy manages to escape. The supports of the tower collapse, sending guests to be pressed against the glass windows. The penny from earlier then lands on a piano, sending it crashing into a woman and the windows, killing most of the other remaining guests. The penny-throwing child runs outside laughing before he gets crushed by the falling piano. Iris then sees the singer's son and makes her way across the collapsing restaurant to save him. The floor then breaks even more, sending Iris and the boy hanging off a piece of concrete. Iris's ring then gets stuck on the support, and the weight ends up tearing the skin off her ring finger, which sends her and the boy plummeting to the bottom. The boy dies last, while Iris gets impaled through the mouth by a big glass shard. Then it cuts to the present day with Stefani Reyes wakes up screaming in class after witnessing the premonition. Stefani has been seeing the Skyview premonition as a persistent nightmare that's causing her grades to plummet. She deduces that Iris is her estranged grandmother and decides to take a leave and go home and get some answers at the encouragement of her roommate. Back home, Stefani is reunited with her father, Marty, and her younger brother, Charlie. When Stefani asks Marty about Iris, he is distant. He blames Iris for being the reason her mother, Darlene, left their family. Charlie is also distant from Stefani, embittered by her never reaching out after leaving for college. Stefani then drives Charlie to visit their cousins Julia Campbell, Eric Campbell, and Bobby Campbell. It is clear that thanks to Stefani's absence, Charlie has grown closer to their cousins instead of her. Stefani then tries to get more answers from her Uncle Howard and Aunt Brenda. Howard is outraged. When he and Stefani's mother, Darlene, were growing up, the paranoia over surviving the premonition and knowing death was coming caused Iris enormous amounts of trauma that she passed over to her children after Paul died. Brenda then secretly guides Stefani to a box of letters that Iris sent to their family warning them about death. Stefani uses the letters to track Iris down at a remote house. Iris first demands Stefani to leave all her belongings at the door before she lets her in. Stefani gets into the compound of the house to find it strange with multiple barrels, reinforced gates, and spikes around the walls. Stefani gets into the house and closes the door, which causes a fire extinguisher on the wall to fall. Iris has locked herself into a secure compound for over 20 years and is now dying of cancer. Iris picks up a book, which causes the lamp light to turn on a metal, which then shines on and starts to burn a rope carrying a bucket plant. But Iris quickly realizes it and turns off the lamp. Iris shows Stefani a notebook. Inside are all the details she's gathered about death over the years, including accidents such as the Route 23 pileup from Final Destination 2 and the Flight 180 crash from the first Final Destination. Iris then reveals that after the premonition, she saved everyone that day. The Skyview ended up being closed, and they tore it down due to safety issues. She tells her that Death doesn't like it when someone messes with his plan. So it starts to come back for everyone who was there at the Skyview and kills them one by one, including Paul. And now Death is coming for their family after working through the list over all these years. When Iris tries to convince Stefani to stay with her in the locked compound, Stefani attempts to run away. Despite her fear, Iris runs out to give Stefani her book and accepts her fate. She tells Stefani that seeing is believing before Death causes a weather vane to fall on the fire extinguisher, which launches it straight into Iris's head, killing her instantly. At Iris's funeral, Stefani's and Charlie's mother Darlene arrives, now living in an RV and going from trailer park to trailer park. Stefani is furious at her for abandoning them when they were little. Charlie then confronts her for doing the same thing when she left for college. The Campbells then returned home to host their memorial barbecue, and Darlene joined them. Howard tries to convince her to stay at their house, but she declines. Howard then gathers everyone for a toast to enjoy the time they have with each other while it lasts. A series of mishaps then happen during the barbecue. A faulty gas tank almost burns Eric, a rake is directly underneath a trampoline Bobby is jumping on, and a broken shard of glass ends up in someone's drink. Darlene saw the rake and moved it, but an unsupervised beer bottle fell and caused a hose to inflate. While this is happening, back at her house, Stefani starts looking at Iris's notebook and begins feeling Death's presence. A gust of wind then sends a family picture falling to the ground with a singular shard of glass falling in front of her. Stefani realizes they're in trouble and races to the barbecue. She arrives, but it's too late. The trampoline rips with Bobby on it, and glass falls while they are playing Jenga, and unbeknownst to them, a shard falls right side up. Howard then steps on the shard, impaling his foot, and just as this happens, the host sends the rake falling onto their lawnmower, activating it and sending it right onto Howard's face, killing him in front of the whole family. After Howard's funeral, Stefani gathers the family around to discuss Iris's notes. Over the years, Death has come for every single person who cheated Death and survived the Skyview premonition. Now he's coming for Iris's blood relatives in order: Howard, Eric, Bobby, Julia, Darlene, Stefani, and Charlie, because they were never supposed to exist. The grieving Campbells are all furious at Stefani and leave. Later that night, Eric is working at a tattoo parlor. His boss leaves after he orders him to close up. Eric blasts a song through a speaker while he tattoos Dad on his arm. The music speak causes a small Death statue to fall onto a table, which causes a glass bottle to fall and break. Eric goes to check it out and, in turn, pushes his seat backward, which collides onto a shelf and causes a bottle filled with isopropyl alcohol to spill out. While cleaning up the broken glass, a chain breaks from the ceiling and gets caught on Eric's nose ring. The chain starts to wrap around a fan, which starts to pull Eric. Eric frantically attempts to get the chain off his nose and accidentally kicks a lamp on the floor covered with the isopropyl alcohol, starting a fire. He finally manages to free himself, but falls down on the fire as more isopropyl alcohol bottles catch fire, setting the entire shop ablaze. When Stefani and Charlie go to find him the next day, he's alive and well, as the leather jacket he was wearing protected him from the fire. Stefani then tries to warn him about Death, and he mocks her, even after a near miss with a car almost running him over. While they were walking, Stefani told him to stay away from the tree trimmer. She says that the trimmer could fall and hit the leaf blower guy, which causes him to blow the dirt into the kids' eyes, which were playing soccer, and kick the ball on his face. But Eric doesn't believe her and continues to mock her. They find Julia coming out to jog as a garbage truck parks to collect the garbage. She tells Eric to stay away from the truck, but he starts kissing the truck to mock Death. Julia then tells Stefani to leave them alone and starts to jog. She passes by the kids playing soccer before a series of events, just as Stefani guesses causes the kids to kick a soccer ball into her head, causing her to fall into a garbage bin. The truck then picks her up and throws her into the compactor. The three run after the truck with Stefani climbing on top of it, while Eric and Charlie try to tell the driver to stop, who is listening to songs through his headphones. The truck's compactor starts to crush the garbage inside. Stefani tries to save her, but before she does, Eric and Charlie manage to stop the truck, causing Julia to fall back. Stefani tries to get her out again, but unfortunately, the compactor ends up crushing Julia's head and body into mush, leaving Stefani only her hand. The family then starts believing Stefani. After Stefani expresses confusion with death's order, Brenda reveals that it skipped Eric because Eric isn't Howard's biological son. Eric rushes out in disappointment. Since Eric isn't on death's list and Julia is already dead, Bobby is now next. They look through Iris's book and find a text that says JB found someone who survived. Darlene says she knows that name from Iris's letters to her and that he works at a nearby hospital. Stefani, Charlie, Darlene, and Bobby then decide to go look for a JB. Eric decides to join them to make sure Bobby is safe. During the ride, Stefani and Darlene begin to find common ground and fix their relationship. At the hospital, JB ends up being William John Bloodworth, who was the son of the singer Iris saved during the Skyview premonition. Over the years, he and Iris have been friends who worked together on her research and have been tracking death over the years. He explains the rules of Death's List to the family and how to escape it: either kill someone to take the rest of their life as seen in Final Destination 5, or die and be revived like Kimberly Corman in Final Destination 2. But he warns them that if they fuck with death and lose, things will get very messy. He then says that with Iris dead and him also having cancer, he knows his time is coming. Bloodworth retires from his job, then wishes the family good luck and tells them to enjoy whatever is left of their life. While Stefani, Charlie, and Darlene were discussing their next move, Eric and Bobby decided to take things into their own hands and wander off to the hospital. After briefly discussing and shutting down the idea of killing a baby, they decide on a plan. Eric would trigger Bobby's deadly peanut allergy and then have him be revived at the hospital. When trying to get peanut butter cups from a vending machine, the coil malfunctions. Eric then cracks the glass, trying to get the cups out. He then starts to push the vending machine, finally getting the peanut butter. Both brothers then enter an MRI room and unknowingly turn the machine on. Eric goes out and steals a wheelchair from an old lady before he returns. Bobby is afraid to go through with it, but Eric tells him to give him his EpiPen. While the two argue, the temperature on the MRI starts to rise. Bobby finally eats it but doesn't feel anything. But suddenly, Bobby starts to suffocate as his throat starts to swallow. He tries to get the EpiPen from Eric and accidentally touches the control of the MRI, raising the temperature even more. The power of the MRI snaps Eric's phone and it accidentally pushes a button, which overrides the MRI into rising above the safe level. The machine's magnet activates and starts to rip all piercings off of Eric's body one by one, including from his private part. Then the wheelchair forces him into the machine. The MRI level continues to rise until the wheelchair rips through Eric's body and brutally kills him. Bobby then crawls to Eric's body to get his EpiPen and stabs himself in time, only for a nurse to open the door, causing the coil from the vending machine to fly straight into his skull as a horrified Stefani, Charlie, and Darlene arrive. Later, the three discuss what their chances of survival are. Darlene decided that their next move was to send her to lock herself into Iris's compound and live out the rest of her days there so that Stefani and Charlie could survive. As the three embrace, the coin from the Skyview falls from Iris's book. They make their way to Iris's house, but are nearly run over by a truck carrying logs. Stefani then takes over and they continue to drive. The coin from Skyview is found by the elderly lady, who puts it in her bag. The three arrive at Iris's compound as the wind starts to blow around. The wind snaps an electric wire on the roof of the house before it gets into the house through the window. The three burst in through the gate with the RV. Before they get out, Stefani gets stuck as her seatbelt won't come off. She tells Darlene to get in the house as sparks from the snapped wire start a fire. They rush to the house only for the wind to snap the rope of the plant bucket, which falls on a stove, releasing a flammable gas. One single spark comes in contact with the gas, exploding the whole house and sending the RV into a nearby pond. Stefani starts to drown as Charlie gets pinched down by a wood. Darlene, who sustains serious burns, uses all her energy and frees Charlie. She tells him to save Stefani and says she will stay alive, only for a lamppost to fall onto her and crush her. Charlie rushes into the RV to save Stefani, who is now underwater. He grabs a small knife and tries to free her, but accidentally drops it. He finally manages to get the knife and cut Stefani free as she seemingly drowns and dies. Charlie manages to revive her after he brings her to the surface. The siblings embrace as they've defeated death. Stefani and Charlie cry over their mother's death before they leave together. A few days later, Stefani is preparing to go back to college. She decides to send Charlie off to his prom date. While trying to correct the flower on Charlie's suit, Stefani cuts her hand, reminding her of the Skyview premonition. During this, the old lady from the hospital accidentally drops the penny while trying to buy cookies, sending it flying in the middle of train tracks, which get jammed between the tracks. Stefani and Charlie hear from one doctor there that it doesn't mean she died and was brought back to life because her heart never stopped if she was just revived. The siblings realize that they have not escaped death. A train then derails and starts going for Stefani and Charlie. The siblings run and evade the train, only for logs from the top to fall down and crush both of them. The credits then roll with newspaper clippings of the accidents that claim the survivors of the Skyview premonition, ultimately ending with Stefani and Charlie's obituary. An in memoriam credit is then dedicated to Tony Todd.